The Galactic Council had convened in their vast crystalline chamber, a spectacle of alien architecture and luminescent energy, confident in their superiority as they observed the human delegation arrive. Tiny figures amidst a towering species that dominated the council floor, and from the very first moments, their disdain was palpable, a mixture of amused curiosity and outright contempt, as Counselor Vark of the Zorid species sneered, stating that humanity was a primitive, unremarkable race, with no place among advanced civilizations, their technology backward, their minds unsophisticated, and yet despite the derision, the humans maintained a composed presence. The lead diplomat, Jonathan Harris, a man of 45 with steel-gray eyes that seemed to pierce to arrogance, listening calmly as insults and dismissive remarks cascaded over him, while behind him, Lieutenant Commander Elena Torres, a decorated veteran with decades of combat experience in space defense, subtly monitored the chamber for any potential threats. The subtle tension building as the council debated among themselves the best course of action for dealing with humanity, some suggesting trade restrictions, others advocating containment or observation, never fully realizing that humanity had been quietly advancing, leveraging centuries of covert research, salvaged alien technology, and unyielding ingenuity. They had rebuilt their fleets and weapon systems in secrecy, training pilots in simulated environments far beyond what any alien intelligence suspected. And while the Council debated the humans' supposed insignificance on Earth, the United Space Command was finalizing the deployment of the Dreadnought-class battleships, massive starships bristling with plasma cannons, quantum torpedoes, and defensive shields capable of withstanding orbital bombardments that would obliterate entire cities, all crewed by veterans and engineers who had been prepared for decades to face the unexpected. Simultaneously, Dr. Aisha Patel, lead scientist on the Interstellar Propulsion Project, was running final calibrations on humanity's newly perfected warp drive, capable of instantaneous jumps across hundreds of light years, technology that even the Council's most brilliant strategists dismissed as theoretical impossibility. And as the Council sessions continued, the humans returned to their quarters, seemingly indifferent to the mockery, yet every word, every sneer was recorded, every subtle detail of the Council's political weaknesses logged for future reference. They were patient, methodical, and utterly unflinching, while on a distant observation post, Admiral Marcus Kane reviewed simulations of the Council's fleets, noting their predictable tactics, their reliance on overwhelming force, and the critical blind spots that only humans, with their unconventional thinking and willingness to take calculated risks, could exploit, all the while the aliens continue to underestimate them, preparing ceremonial responses and trivial sanctions, oblivious to the fact that humanity's response would be swift, precise, and devastating, as Lieutenant Torres conducted final war gaming sessions with her fleet commanders, emphasizing coordination, rapid strikes, and psychological impact on enemy morale, while Ambassador Harris crafted diplomatic communications that were both polite and laced with a subtle insinuation of potential consequences. The humans had understood one fundamental truth that the Council ignored. Arrogance is always a precursor to downfall, and patience and preparation allows even the smallest force to achieve the impossible. Then, on a seemingly ordinary day, the human fleet left orbit under guise of routine patrols, dispersing throughout known sectors, deploying stealth probes and decoy formations designed to mislead alien intelligence, all while back on the Council worlds. Debate raged about the human delegation's supposed passive compliance, never suspecting that the humans were moments away from transforming from an underestimated species into the dominant tactical force the galaxy would soon fear. The first strike, when it came, was surgical, precise, and devastating, cutting through supply lines and communications arrays before any Council species even realized the attack had begun, and as the alien leaders scrambled to respond, they found their fastest ships already intercepted by human pilots who anticipated every maneuver. The humans used every advantage, from gravity wells to ion storms, manipulating the battlefield in ways that alien minds considered illogical, yet these maneuvers were meticulously calculated. The Council's fleets found themselves trapped in engagements they could neither retreat from nor win, all while Earth-based command monitored the chaos with calm determination, and as the initial skirmishes unfolded, reports of alien shock and disbelief poured in. The arrogance and mockery that had defined the Council's approach now transformed into panic and fear, every counselor watching as their fleets were systematically dismantled, and despite the destruction and confusion, humanity continued with discipline, demonstrating not only superior technology but strategic brilliance and unyielding resolve. The galaxy's assumption that humans were weak was shattered in days, then hours, and soon in moments, as the first Council worlds fell to coordinated assaults, and across star systems, the name of humanity became synonymous with unstoppable force, clever tactics, and a vindication of resilience. And while the Council had once mocked them, now they sent desperate messages begging for ceasefires, alliances, or mercy, all of which were met with unwavering silence or the calculated demands of human negotiators, showing the galaxy that those who underestimate humans do so at their own peril, and that patience, preparation, and unity could turn the smallest and seemingly weakest species into the arbiters of fate for countless civilizations. And as the first phase of the strike concluded, the humans had proven beyond doubt that their ingenuity, courage, and determination could not be measured by alien preconceptions, and that any who mocked humanity would soon face consequences far beyond their imagination. And even as the smoke cleared and the Council reeled from its humiliation, Earth's leaders knew this was only the beginning, that humanity's full potential had yet to be unleashed, and that the galaxy, once blind to their capabilities, would now be forced to recognize that the age of underestimating humans was over. As the dust settled from the initial strikes, humanity did not pause to celebrate or rest. Instead, the United Space Command immediately began executing the next phase of operations, expanding their offensive across multiple sectors simultaneously, each fleet division operating autonomously yet in perfect coordination. Captain Daniel Reyes of the flagship Ardent Horizon monitored a network of communications and sensor feeds, noting that the alien forces were already faltering under the pressure of attacks they could neither predict nor counter, while Lieutenant Commander Elena Torres coordinated precise orbital bombardments and boarding operations against critical supply hubs, ensuring that alien logistics collapsed faster than reinforcements could arrive. The Council species, once proud and dismissive, now struggled to comprehend the scale and sophistication of human planning, some attempting desperate political maneuvers to rally allied fleets, others frantically activating ancient defensive arrays. But every measure failed against the human superior adaptability and foresight. On Earth, Dr. Aisha Patel oversaw the deployment of experimental technologies, including electromagnetic pulse disruptors, quantum entanglement sensors, and advanced AI coordination systems that allowed human ships to act with unprecedented synchronization. As Admiral Marcus Kane studied reports of alien panic and miscommunication, he realized that the Council's internal distrust and hierarchical rigidity were being exploited perfectly. Humans were striking not just with firepower, but with psychological precision, showing the Council that arrogance and overconfidence were liabilities in the face of disciplined, intelligent, and resilient opposition. Meanwhile, on the front lines, Captain Reyes led daring maneuvers through asteroid fields and nebulae, using environmental hazards as force multipliers against larger alien vessels, while his crew executed evasive maneuvers that alien tacticians had never imagined. Human engineers on every ship adapted damage systems on the fly, creating improvised solutions that kept vessels operational under conditions the Council deemed impossible. And as news of these victories spread across Council worlds, terror replaced ridicule, and debates about human inferiority turned to frantic attempts at damage control. Even as Ambassador Jonathan Harris sent carefully worded communications outlining humanity's demands and conditions, a reminder that humans could strike with both diplomacy and overwhelming force. Every action meticulously designed to demonstrate that the Council's previous mockery had been their gravest misjudgment. Simultaneously, independent human strike teams infiltrated key research and communication stations on Council planets, sabotaging weapon development programs and severing interstellar links, ensuring that alien forces could neither coordinate nor anticipate subsequent moves. And despite the destruction and chaos, the humans maintained a strict moral code, avoiding unnecessary civilian casualties, which further contrasted their ruthlessness in combat with their ethical discipline, creating confusion and hesitation among alien commanders who had expected humanity to act either recklessly or cowardly. Every human operation reinforced the message that underestimation of their species was catastrophic. And as weeks passed, the Council's once dominant fleets were decimated there, territories fragmented, and political structures destabilized. While Earth remained a center calm, calculated authority, every new victory logged meticulously, every alien misstep studied and incorporated into future tactics. And as the campaign continued, humans revealed yet more of their capabilities, deploying stealth drones to intercept reinforcements, employing advanced predictive algorithms to anticipate alien strategies, and utilizing environmental warfare tactics that turned familiar territories into death traps for invaders. The Council species now lived in fear of every human maneuver, realizing that what they had dismissed as primitive and disorganized was, in fact, a highly disciplined, technologically superior, and strategically brilliant force capable of rewriting the balance of power in the galaxy. And while the Council scrambled to mount any form of resistance, the humans were already planning the next stage, showing patience and precision that alien minds found almost incomprehensible, reinforcing the lesson that humanity's greatest weapon was not just technology or firepower, but the combination of intellect, discipline, courage, and a willingness to exploit every opportunity with ruthless efficiency. And as the second phase of the campaign drew to a close, alien worlds once mocking and condescending were now forced into temporary ceasefires and negotiations, desperate for survival, while humanity, ever vigilant, prepared for the next wave of strategic strikes, proving once again that those who underestimate humans do so at the galaxy's peril, and that the legend of humanity's resolve and ingenuity was only beginning to be written, a relentless demonstration that the smallest, most underestimated species could impose on the largest and most arrogant civilizations. Humanity's offensive continued with relentless precision, spreading like a tidal wave across Council-controlled sectors, each fleet division executing complex maneuvers designed to fracture the alien defenses before they could adapt. Captain Daniel Reyes led daring raids on orbital fortresses, weaving through ion storms and gravitational anomalies with skill that alien pilots could not comprehend, while Lieutenant Commander Elena Torres coordinated boarding parties that neutralized enemy crews and captured critical technology, demonstrating a level of tactical ingenuity that defied every preconception the Council held about human limitations. Back on Earth, Dr. Aisha Patel and her team monitored alien communications, decoding their panic-stricken directives, and feeding that intelligence directly into human strategy simulations, allowing Admiral Marcus Kane to anticipate every desperate countermove. And as the humans struck, they employed psychological warfare that amplified alien confusion, projecting holographic fleets, creating decoy signatures, and manipulating sensor data to exaggerate human presence and capability, forcing the Council species into misaligned formations and catastrophic tactical errors. Meanwhile, in the Council chambers, the once proud leaders argued furiously, accusing each other of incompetence and betrayal, never considering that their greatest threat had been underestimated, that humanity's combination of patience, preparation, and adaptability had created a force no Council mind could predict, while Ambassador Jonathan Harris managed diplomatic communications with calculated precision, offering terms framed to appeal to the remaining Council faction's sense of self-preservation, all while implying the absolute futility of resistance against human strategy on multiple fronts. Independent strike teams executed surgical attacks on research stations and industrial hubs, shutting down weapon production communications, networks, and energy grids, leaving the Council scrambling to coordinate a response that could no longer match the speed, accuracy, or ingenuity of human operations. And yet throughout all this, humanity maintained discipline and order, every action precise, every decision informed by decades of preparation and strategic foresight, turning apparent weaknesses into advantages, exploiting alien overconfidence and rigid hierarchies, while the alien commanders found themselves reacting to human moves they could not anticipate, adapting only to realize that humans had anticipated their adaptations before they even acted. And across the galaxy, stories of human audacity and ingenuity spread quickly, undermining morale, inspiring fear, and forcing even neutral civilizations to reconsider their alliances. As Lieutenant Torres oversaw the coordination of stealth squadrons that intercepted reinforcements, using unconventional tactics that alien minds deemed illogical but were, in fact, meticulously calculated to maximize both damage and psychological impact, Captain Reyes led his crews through asteroid belts, radiation storms, and collapsing orbital platforms, turning natural hazards into lethal tools against alien fleets, while Earth-based command monitored every move, ensuring that civilian populations remained safe and that every strike reinforced the demonstration of human superiority. At the same time, Dr. Patel deployed experimental long-range sensors and quantum communication arrays, allowing human fleets to operate with perfect synchronization across vast distances, something the Council had never imagined possible. And as the Council species began to experience systemic failures in command, logistics, and morale, humanity unveiled yet another technological advantage: advanced AI-driven tactics that could calculate hundreds of scenarios simultaneously, allowing human commanders to execute maneuvers that alien forces could neither predict nor counter. With each successive engagement, human victories mounted. Alien forces were routed, strategic positions captured, and Council worlds were forced into concessions. The very arrogance and mockery that had defined the Council's approach to humanity now turned into desperation and fear. Ambassador Harris leveraged these victories diplomatically, framing humanity not as a conqueror, but as an unstoppable force with moral and technological superiority, forcing alien factions to acknowledge their miscalculations and accept terms that preserve human strategic freedom. And even as humans consolidated their gains, the story of their relentless precision, tactical brilliance, and ethical discipline spread across star systems, cementing their reputation as a species that could not be dismissed, that patience, preparation, and unwavering resolve could transform the seemingly weak into the galaxy's most dominant force. And as the third phase of humanity's campaign concluded, the Council could only watch in disbelief as their power and pride crumbled, learning the harsh truth that mocking humans had been their gravest error, and that every insult, every dismissal, had only strengthened the resolve and ingenuity of the species they had underestimated, proving that in the unforgiving expanse of space, humanity's brilliance, courage, and resilience were unmatched, and that the galaxy had yet to see the full extent of their capabilities. Humanity's campaign pressed onward, a relentless tide of strategic brilliance and technological dominance sweeping across Council control systems. Captain Daniel Reyes coordinated simultaneous strikes on multiple sectors, maneuvering fleets through asteroid clusters, magnetic storms, and radiation belts to maximize the destruction of alien supply lines while minimizing human casualties. Lieutenant Commander Elena Torres led boarding operations that captured command centers, revealing intelligence that allowed human strategists to anticipate alien reinforcements before they even launched back on Earth. Dr. Aisha Patel implemented cutting-edge propulsion algorithms and advanced sensor networks that enabled instant communication and synchronization across thousands of light years, ensuring every fleet movement was perfectly timed and every tactical decision informed by real-time intelligence. Admiral Marcus Kane observed the cascading failures of alien coordination with a calm certainty, recognizing that the Council's overconfidence and rigid hierarchical command structures were being exploited at every level, while Ambassador Jonathan Harris continued to leverage human victories in diplomatic channels, framing every triumph as both a warning and an invitation to recognize human supremacy without provoking unnecessary hostility. Meanwhile, on alien worlds, panic and disbelief spread like wildfire. Counselor Vark of the Zora species and his peers argued, furiously, attempting to reconcile their once dismissive attitudes with the catastrophic reality unfolding before them. Fleets once considered invincible were shattered, orbital defenses obliterated, and entire colonies forced into surrender, and yet humanity maintained discipline and restraint, ensuring civilian populations were protected even as their technological and tactical advantages left alien forces demoralized and fractured. Independent strike teams infiltrated hidden bases, sabotaging weapon production and communication arrays, forcing alien commanders to make desperate, flawed decisions, while human engineers improvised on the fly, repairing damaged ships and repurposing alien technology to extend the reach and effectiveness of every engagement. Simultaneously, advanced AI systems guided human fleets through complex simulations, predicting enemy movements and exploiting weaknesses that alien minds fail to perceive, and with every encounter, the aliens' belief in human inferiority crumbled further, morale plummeting as their losses mounted, and every counterattack failed to achieve meaningful results. Captain Reyes executed maneuvers that exploited gravitational anomalies and nebular interference to ambush superior enemy forces, while Lieutenant Torres coordinated multi-pronged boarding actions that captured critical officers, technology, and intelligence, feeding the humans' advantage while further destabilizing the Council's ability to respond. Cohesively, back on Earth, Dr. Patel and her team continued to refine quantum communication links and warp synchronization, allowing fleets across the galaxy to act as a single, unified force despite vast distances, reinforcing the lesson that humanity's strength was not merely in firepower, but in coordination, ingenuity, and the ability to think and adapt faster than any adversary to comprehend. As alien forces scrambled, attempting ad hoc alliances and desperate counterattacks, humans had already anticipated these moves, striking first and dictating the terms of every engagement, and in council chambers, arguments escalated to accusations of incompetence and treachery, yet even the most desperate factions could not stem the tide of human victories, as psychological warfare compounded physical destruction, holographic decoys, manipulated sensor data, and strategic misinformation sowed confusion and hesitation, further amplifying humanity's advantage, while Ambassador Harris issued communications that subtly reinforced human dominance, offering peace on human terms to those who submitted and demonstrating the futility of resistance on multiple fronts. Human fleets intercepted reinforcements, using unconventional tactics that alien minds considered illogical but which were part of meticulously calculated strategies. And as every alien fleet fell, every defensive installation destroyed, and every colony subdued, the galaxy witnessed the emergence of humanity not as a primitive species to be mocked, but as a force defined by brilliance, resilience, and an unbreakable will, proving that centuries of preparation, disciplined training, and unwavering courage could turn even the most underestimated species into an unstoppable power. And as the fourth phase of operations concluded, the Council could only watch in horror as humanity's reputation solidified across star systems. A species whose patience, ingenuity, and calculated ruthlessness had transformed them from the subject of mockery to the arbiters of fate, and the lesson was unmistakable. To underestimate humans was to invite annihilation, and the galaxy would never again view them with condescension or doubt, for their strategic genius, technological mastery, and ethical discipline had become the standard by which all others were measured, and yet this was only the beginning, as humanity's full potential had yet to be revealed, and the Council remained blind to the magnitude of what was coming. Next, humanity's momentum showed no sign of slowing as fleets spread across the galaxy, executing operations with precision that alien strategists could neither predict nor comprehend. Captain Daniel Reyes led a squadron through a dense asteroid belt to flank a heavily fortified alien stronghold, using gravitational anomalies to mask their approach, while launching synchronized missile volleys that disabled orbital defense platforms. Lieutenant Commander Elena Torres coordinated rapid boarding of enemy command ships, capturing vital officers and technology, while Dr. Aisha Patel deployed experimental cloaking devices and advanced targeting algorithms that allowed human vessels to strike with surgical accuracy from unexpected vectors. And back on Earth, Admiral Marcus Kane monitored the simultaneous execution of over a dozen major operations, each designed to isolate alien forces, cut off supply lines, and exploit political rivalries within the Council, while Ambassador Jonathan Harris leveraged these victories to issue carefully worded demands for recognition and cooperation, framing humanity as a force capable of mercy and discipline while underscoring futility of resistance. On alien worlds, panic spread as fleets crumbled, colonies were cut off, and leaders realized their assumptions about human weakness had been catastrophically wrong. Counselor Vark of the Zora species and his peers scrambled to mount countermeasures, but every move they attempted had been anticipated and neutralized. The humans had exploited not only their technological superiority, but the rigid hierarchies and overconfidence of alien command structures. As stealth drones intercepted reinforcements and communications networks were disrupted, human forces operated with unprecedented autonomy, yet remained perfectly coordinated, and the psychological impact of these tactics left alien officers paralyzed with indecision, with every engagement reinforcing the lesson that humans were patient, disciplined, and capable of adapting instantaneously to unforeseen circumstances. Captain Reyes executed daring maneuvers through nebular storms, using environmental hazards as force multipliers, while Torres directed boarding teams that neutralized key installations, capturing valuable intelligence that informed subsequent operations simultaneously. Dr. Patel continued to push the boundaries of propulsion technology, allowing rapid redeployment across vast distances and enabling Preemptive strikes that left alien fleets disoriented and overextended, and as Council factions debated internally, blaming each other for failures and accusing rivals of incompetence, humanity's campaign unfolded with unrelenting efficiency, striking at supply depots, research facilities, and communications hubs, destabilizing the very infrastructure upon which alien powers depended, while the humans maintained strict discipline and ethical conduct, protecting civilians and avoiding unnecessary destruction, which only heightened the contrast between their moral and tactical superiority and the desperate brutality of alien responses. Across star systems, word spread of humanity's ingenuity, courage, and relentless coordination, shaking the confidence of even neutral species who had once doubted their capabilities, while Admiral Kane and his staff continued to refine strategies in real time, exploiting alien weaknesses and maximizing the psychological effect of every maneuver. And as the fifth phase of the campaign progressed, Council worlds that had once mocked humans were forced to surrender or face annihilation. The arrogance that had defined the Council perception of humanity shattered completely under the combined force of technological mastery, disciplined execution, and relentless determination. Ambassador Harris negotiated terms with precision, presenting humanity as both an irresistible force and a rational actor, further destabilizing alien morale and encouraging fractured factions to submit, while fleets under Reyes and Torres moved seamlessly between tactical strikes, orbital sieges, and psychological operations, demonstrating that human adaptability, foresight, and unity could overcome any challenge. Every victory underscored the consequences of underestimating humanity, proving that patience, preparation, and ingenuity could transform the supposedly weak into a dominant galactic power. And as the fifth stage concluded, the Council could only watch helplessly as humanity's legend grew, their brilliance, courage, and resilience become the defining measure of power across the galaxy, leaving no doubt that mocking humans had been their gravest misjudgment, and that the full scope of humanity's capabilities had yet to be revealed, setting the stage for the ultimate demonstration of supremacy that would force the entire galaxy to acknowledge that humanity would no longer be dismissed, underestimated, or controlled. Humanity's campaign advanced into its sixth phase with relentless precision and unyielding determination. Captain Daniel Reyes navigated the flagship Ardent Horizon through a labyrinth of collapsing orbital stations and asteroid fragments, orchestrating simultaneous attacks on multiple alien command posts, while Lieutenant Commander Elena Torres coordinated boarding teams that executed swift, decisive strikes on critical enemy infrastructure, capturing officers, sabotaging weapon systems, and securing intelligence that allowed human forces to anticipate the Council's next moves with uncanny accuracy. Back on Earth, Dr. Aisha Patel oversaw the deployment of experimental long-range sensor arrays and quantum entanglement communication networks, enabling instantaneous coordination across vast distances and allowing every human fleet to act in perfect harmony. While Admiral Marcus Kane studied the cascading failures of alien logistics, recognizing that the Council's rigid hierarchies, reliance on brute force, and overconfidence were being systematically exploited at every level simultaneously, Ambassador Jonathan Harris continued to manage diplomatic channels with careful precision, issuing communications that emphasized human strength, discipline, and moral authority, framing humanity as a rational, ethical, and unstoppable force that demanded recognition, while subtly reinforcing the futility of resistance. Across Council-controlled sectors, panic and confusion spread as alien fleets crumbled under coordinated assaults, orbital defenses were destroyed, supply lines severed, and colonies cut off, forcing alien leaders to make desperate, fragmented decisions that only played into human strategy. Stealth squadrons intercepted reinforcements and communications, creating chaos and amplifying the psychological impact of human operations. Captain Reyes led daring maneuvers that exploited environmental hazards, such as radiation storms, magnetic anomalies, and gravitational distortions, turning them into force multipliers that shattered superior alien formations, while Torres directed multi-pronged boarding operations that neutralized enemy command structures and captured technology, further destabilizing the Council's ability to respond effectively. Back on Earth, Dr. Patel and her team refined propulsion systems and targeting algorithms, allowing human forces to redeploy at unprecedented speed and strike with surgical accuracy, ensuring that no alien fleet could regroup or mount a coordinated counteroffensive. and every engagement demonstrated the humans' ability to adapt instantaneously to unforeseen circumstances, exploiting weaknesses in alien tactics that the Council had never considered as alien factions quarreled, blamed one another, and struggled to maintain cohesion. Humanity's combination of patience, foresight, and operational discipline continued to overwhelm their forces, spreading fear and disbelief across star systems. While Admiral Kane coordinated the broader strategic picture, ensuring that each strike compounded the previous victories and tightened the human grip on the galaxy, simultaneously, psychological operations reinforced physical dominance, with holographic decoys, falsified communications, and carefully timed ambushes undermining alien confidence and morale. Every human action meticulously calculated to maximize strategic advantage, while preserving ethical standards that left civilian populations unharmed and demonstrated a stark contrast to the Council's panic brutality. Across multiple theaters, human fleets intercepted and annihilated enemy reinforcements, employed unconventional tactics that alien minds considered illogical but were in fact the product of sophisticated simulations, and captured entire orbital sectors without suffering unnecessary losses. As news of these victories spread, even neutral civilizations reconsidered their alliances, inspired by humanity's ingenuity, discipline, and unbreakable resolve. And as the sixth stage of operations concluded, the Council's arrogance had been completely dismantled, their pride shattered, and their political and military structures in ruins, while humanity, ever disciplined, prepared for final decisive phases, demonstrating that their mastery of strategy, technology, and ethics had transformed them from an underestimated species into the galaxy's preeminent power, proving beyond doubt that any who mocked humans had invited their own downfall, and that the full scope of humanity's ingenuity, resilience, and dominance was only beginning to be fully revealed, setting the stage for an outcome that would permanently alter the balance of power across the stars. Humanity moved into the penultimate phase of their campaign with ruthless precision and flawless coordination. Captain Daniel Reyes led the Ardent Horizon and accompanying fleets through densely packed asteroid fields and ion storms, using gravitational anomalies to mask fleet movements, while launching synchronized strikes on Council fortresses, orbital defense platforms, and supply hubs. Lieutenant Commander Elena Torres executed rapid boarding actions on command ships and industrial complexes, capturing officers, intelligence, and critical technology, while back on Earth, Dr. Aisha Patel monitored quantum communications and long-range sensor networks, allowing human forces to anticipate every alien maneuver with unmatched accuracy. Admiral Marcus Kane analyzed reports of alien disarray and systemic failure, recognizing that the Council's hierarchical rigidity and overconfidence were being exploited at every level, while Ambassador Jonathan Harris continued to manage diplomatic communications, framing humanity as an unstoppable force with moral and technological superiority, offering terms that emphasize recognition and survival for those who submitted. And as human fleets pressed deeper into Council-controlled space, alien morale collapsed completely, with panic, confusion, and distrust spreading through fleets and governments alike. Counselor Vark of the Zora species and his peers attempted desperate measures, forming hasty alliances and initiating uncoordinated counterattacks. But every effort was anticipated and neutralized by humans, who employed advanced predictive algorithms, adaptive strategies, and real-time intelligence. Stealth squadrons intercepted reinforcements and communications, further compounding the chaos. Captain Reyes executed maneuvers that leveraged environmental hazards, radiation belts, and collapsing orbital structures to devastating effect, while Torres directed multi-pronged boarding operations that destabilized enemy command structures, captured vital technology, and disrupted supply lines. And on Earth, Dr. Patel deployed experimental cloaking and propulsion technologies, enabling rapid redeployment and surgical strikes across multiple theaters, leaving alien fleets overextended, disoriented, and demoralized. Simultaneously, human psychological operations exploited the fear and confusion, using holographic decoys, falsified communications, and coordinated ambushes to induce hesitation and mistakes, reinforcing the humans' tactical superiority and unshakable discipline, while every victory was leveraged diplomatically by Ambassador Harris to secure submissions, alliances, and recognition, creating a cascade of alien capitulations that amplified human dominance. Across star systems, even neutral species were forced to reconsider their stance, witnessing humanity's combination of technological mastery, strategic brilliance, and ethical conduct. And as the seventh stage of operations unfolded, the Council's arrogance and contempt for humanity were completely eradicated, their fleets shattered, political structures destabilized, and entire worlds forced into compliance. Human forces maintained their restraint and focus, protecting civilians and preserving infrastructure when possible, demonstrating that their supremacy was rooted not in mindless destruction, but in superior intelligence, planning, and moral discipline. Every human maneuver designed to maximize impact while minimizing unnecessary loss. While alien leaders struggled to comprehend the scale and precision of the campaign, their fear growing with each successive defeat, humanity's patience, preparation, and strategic genius had transformed them from a mocked, underestimated species into an unstoppable galactic power. The Council could only watch helplessly as their once vaunted dominance crumbled, understanding too late that underestimating humans had been a catastrophic error, and as fleets, colonies, and command centers fell under coordinated human control, it became unmistakably clear that the galaxy would never again treat humanity with derision or disregard, their ingenuity, courage, and resilience now cemented as the ultimate measure of power, setting the stage for the final phase that would irrevocably alter the fate of every Council species and the balance of stars. The final phase of humanity's campaign unfolded with overwhelming precision and inexorable force. Captain Daniel Reyes led the United Fleets through strategically calculated hyperspace corridors, striking simultaneously at every remaining Council stronghold, orbital citadel, and command nexus, while Lieutenant Commander Elena Torres orchestrated boarding operations that neutralized leadership, captured technology, and ensured that every engagement reinforced the humans' dominance. Back on Earth, Dr. Aisha Patel coordinated advanced quantum sensor networks and instantaneous communication links, allowing real-time coordination across thousands of light years and enabling preemptive maneuvers that left alien forces incapable of mounting any effective resistance. Admiral Marcus Kane oversaw the complex orchestration of strikes, ambushes, and psychological operations, ensuring that every action compounded previous victories while minimizing unnecessary casualties. And Ambassador Jonathan Harris conducted final diplomatic communications with the remaining Council factions, presenting humanity's terms with unwavering authority, highlighting both the futility of continued resistance and the moral, technological, and strategic supremacy that humanity had established across the galaxy. Alien leaders faced the full weight of humanity's ingenuity and preparation, their fleets shattered, colonies isolated, and political hierarchies destabilized. Counselor Vark and his peers scrambled in disbelief as coordinated human attacks dismantled orbital defenses, severed supply lines, and captured critical assets. Stealth squadrons intercepted reinforcements. Decoy fleets sowed confusion, and advanced AI-guided tactics exploited every weakness. Captain Reyes maneuvered through nebulous storms, magnetic fields, and collapsing space structures with unparalleled skill, striking decisively against superior numbers, while Torres coordinated multi-pronged operations that systematically eliminated resistance, secured resources, and neutralized the Council's ability to rebuild. Dr. Patel deployed final experimental technologies that amplified fleet coordination, increased defensive and offensive capabilities, and allowed human forces to operate as a unified entity across the galaxy. Every engagement demonstrating the humans' unmatched combination of adaptability, intelligence, and disciplined courage. Psychological warfare reinforced these victories, spreading fear, doubt, and despair among alien populations, while Ambassador Harris ensured that surviving Council factions recognized human authority, fostering submission without provoking unnecessary bloodshed. As worlds once mocking humanity capitulated or carefully integrated into new order, the Council's arrogance was replaced with reverence and terror. Their derision transformed into acknowledgement of the catastrophic misjudgment they had made, and in the aftermath, humanity had achieved complete strategic, technological, and moral dominance across the regions they contested, proving that patience, preparation, and relentless determination could elevate an underestimated species to the pinnacle of power, every victory cementing their reputation for brilliance, courage, and resilience. And as the dust settled across the galaxy, the message was undeniable. Humans were no longer to be mocked, underestimated, or ignored, their ingenuity and resolve now defining the standards of power and strategy for every civilization. And the legacy of the campaign was clear, that those who dismissed humanity had faced their own downfall, and that the age of human supremacy had begun, a permanent reminder to the stars that underestimating humans comes at the gravest possible cost, and that the species that had once been laughed at had now irrevocably struck back to claim their rightful place as the dominant force in the galaxy.